different focuses like that. So
Didn't see that.
um
We're gonna have to blur that out or cut that out because I didn't see that.
that's not supposed to be there still. I'm
It's still there though, but we digress.
feeling, I mean, like
That's the clip. That's the clip. I'm sorry.
healing. I am healing. Okay, I really am. I really am healing, and I just haven't gotten to that step.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Did You Hear That with Shimei and A'Lauren, episode 6. I am Shimei Cook.
I am A'Lauren Gilchrist.
What's going on, A'Lauren? How are you doing today?
I think I'm doing pretty good. I think summer is really heating up. It's hot outside. It's been really, really hot. Even though it's June, it feels like it's August. Um, I think my internship is helping my mental health go up a little bit because I'm busy.
Good, good, good. Well, speaking of mental health, today's episode is all about mental health, especially in college. Oh my God, that's
Hmm.
mental health is definitely a big thing in college that we have to deal with. What is one thing about college mental health that you wish someone told you before starting your freshman year?
I think the one thing that comes to mind is that you kind of need to pay attention to your mental health and that when something happens, like you're gonna actually have to keep going on with life. You're dealing with a significant mental health challenge in college. That like literally the world does not stop just because you're hurting. Um,
Mm,
and I think, at least from my perspective, this past year, like this 2023-2024 school year, I dealt with a lot of different mental health challenges. And I think one of the things I really wish somebody told me coming in, like, just pay attention to your mental health and that it's real. Like, a lot of times people like to downplay, like, oh, you're not struggling, it's just this or that. Or a lot of the older generations, like the problems that we face, they try to act as if, that's not really something to be down or upset about, but not understanding that a lot of, college students face a variety of different things that can really impact your mental health.
especially when you have high expectations of yourself.
Yeah.
So I definitely concur. Yeah, I wish someone told me to take it easy. You don't have to do everything. I think we talked about that a few episodes ago. Like just take some time for yourself. Sometimes I think that what I would tell myself freshman year is just try to make friends. Don't consume yourself in all of just work, work, work. Try to have a life outside of, work and school. I wish someone would have told me that. Because that work life balance is very important. And these older generations would tell you that. That because that work life balance is very important. Um, because there are days that it's gonna catch up to you where you're gonna feel burnt out. You just like sometimes you just want a break and it's gonna be too late because you're like, oh, I don't have anybody. That's what I wish someone would have told me.
Yeah, I agree. I am honestly living in that regret, Shema. Like, I'm going into my senior year, and I feel like well, I had a few mentors tell me, because, they're like, you have time, you have time, you have time to grow and be professional and all of that. But I kind of wish maybe I would have listened or had some more of my peers that were a few years older than me just kind of tell me, you can kind of have a life outside of, like you said, work or your organizations or just school in general. Um, I feel like I poured so much into like my professional development and into my coursework that I feel like I've missed some of my college experience.
Yes, I could concur. I feel like I'm like behind or like I feel like this is like but at the end of to me though, I feel like and don't mean to cut you off,
Mhm.
but when it comes to like life outside of school, I think I get so consumed with it, it's hard to get out of that rhythm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, that's the best way to put it. Like, and then when you're already a high achiever, you know, you expect so much of yourself. Sometimes, if you are going out to have a good time, you may feel bad about it. Or,
Or you're very cautious.
yeah,
Or
exactly.
like it's just like you can't even enjoy yourself because you like, yeah, remember always somebody's taking the picture. So am I being recorded? Or
Yeah,
it's just like that's why when people be like, I don't go outside because I have an image to protect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Think that also impacts mental health. Like, you know, if you're trying to protect an image or a reputation, your reputation, like, I'm not even talking about how some people have a fake persona, like, this is who I am. Like, I built this reputation for myself. So many professional people know me. I'm being called on to do this, that, and the third. Like, that can also impact your mental health when you're trying to always make sure you're upholding your reputation and then having the fear of, like you said, oh, if I go to this event, somebody's going to take a picture of me and post it and try to make me look like, I'm this.
This person. Yeah. It's just it's hard because like and people like say like people should understand you have a life outside of work, but at the end of the day, like when you in all industries are different. If you're a nurse, people that might not care what you do outside of work. But like for people who are like with images and stuff, like teachers, with like with journalists, with lawyers and all that stuff, like people care about, the type of person you are, no matter if you are on the clock or off the clock. That's very, very important. And there's no people be like, there's freedom of expression, there's freedom of speech, but there's no freedom of consequences. People don't remember people people forget that like you could do you're not going to jail, you probably will be unemployed, or you might get called into the office. So, or if you might not be on, you might be unemployed, not right now, but like when it comes to contract time, where you want that raise, or you want that, what's the name, or that extension, you're probably not going to get it because this happened. You got to remember, you're not just a representation of yourself. You're a representation of the company that you work for, or organization that you work for. Unless you're an entrepreneur, and even that, you have to answer to people. Like people like, oh, I want to be my own boss. I don't want to work for the man. But at the end of the day, even your the boss's boss has a boss. Like it's just like at the end of the day, everybody has a boss. Everybody answers to somebody.
Yeah,
So that's yeah. Go ahead, Lauren.
I agree. And then just the other perspective of like your peers, like a lot of people will judge you just for trying to be a normal college student. I've never been the person, because we talked about this before, like to go to parties and things of that nature. But recently I had a lot of friends graduating. And so,
Mm-hmm.
whole graduation week type thing, I was at different parties, different events, just to celebrate, have a good time. And you wouldn't believe how many people like try to be shady and be like, is that Miss blah 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 at this Darty? Is she here? Is she there? And it was kind of like, I'm not the person in the middle of the room twerking. I'm not the person heavy drinking, but there's people who are watching and having something to say about me being here just because I hold a position. And sometimes that can also impact your mental health because it's like, why do these people have anything to say and why do they care?
I think it goes down to that. I take that as a, a token of respect. That's how I take of it because they see you in such a light where they're used to you being in your element, in your, professional or your professional or your not professional, but
But
your element. You basically, yeah, your element, your aspiration. And it's kind of it people some people are shocked. Now some people are shady. I would say that. But, you know, I would say this though. I've seen, and I'm a type of person where I like to look out for people, right? And you know this, Lauren. I'll say, like, especially like for lower classmen, I'll say like for people like on royal court or student government and stuff like that, they, some of these people, this is their first time having freedom, even though they have, they're still student leaders, but at the same time, they're still kids. They're still, big kids. They're just transitioning out of high school. Now they finally got some freedom. And everybody wants to be a party promoter, but also hold like me, like a freshman class president or sophomore class vice president. But I like to inform people, when you are, in these rooms, you have, your student, your class voted for you. Your class voted for you for a reason. So you could have your fun. Yes, yes, yes. But everything doesn't have to be posted on social media. People forget that. Like you don't have to post a picture with you with your middle finger up, or showing more, showing your behind, or like you don't have to. That's not, and listen, I'm not telling people what to do with your especially women, not telling you what to do with your body, what to wear, but at the same time, you gotta remember things, especially black students, black people, things circulate.
mhm.
Things once it's on the internet, it's on there forever. So you have to understand some things are everything doesn't have to be posted. Listen, I'd rather I'd rather you do it and don't nobody knows about it. Like that's the thing. Like I think that's the thing about social media in mental health too. People always post stuff and don't expect the backlash, but at the same time,
Exactly.
put out the information. So don't be mad when people, reciprocate or approach you about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like that's caused a lot of drama, especially HBCUs, like I said, things get around really quickly. And so
Real quick.
when you're a person who posts everything or feel like I always have to be seen and everybody always has to know what I'm doing,
Like a pick me person.
yeah, like that impacts people's mental health because then the next thing you know, that person is on their page saying, "Well, I'm getting off of here," or
Well,
you
their page is deactivated and then activated. Those people that can't make up their mind. One moment, oh, I'm off Instagram. 2 weeks later, I'm back on. It's like, make up your mind. Come on, people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I agree though. And social media definitely like on my campus, Lord, it can impact your mental health. I mean, because I feel like our generation and with HBCU culture, like this has been a big discussion how a lot of people even choose HBCUs based off of a party TikTok
Yes.
or a picture.
Yes.
And they're struggling when they get to school, realizing that's not every day. Like, so then they're also in a mental health slump because they never did their proper research.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I definitely advise people do not pick a school based off on how they party. Pick the school on base of the major, the resources they can provide you, and and can you afford it? That's another one too. But yeah, that's the problem. That's a problem. People picking schools based off of parties, and that's the thing. People just want to party all the time, and it's just like there's life out of that, and I think people get so caught up in that, and they're in that mental health aspect of it can be very draining because listen, well, I have seen people, party until 1 a.m. and then go to their 8 a.m. class. I have seen that before. So if you could do it, major props to you, But you know, at the same time, that's gonna catch up to you. That will catch up to you. So, God bless you. But uh what how has your understanding of mental health changed since you started college, Lauren?
I don't want to sit here and say that, oh, I was against therapy before I came to college, but in a sense, I got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't really need that. I'm okay. Da, da, da. I always felt that way. Like I never really needed therapy or anything, until I went through a really rough period, like my sophomore year, and I was just struggling so much to the point where this is when I had to move out of my residence hall to another place, and I had I I was not sleeping at night. I was not eating. Um, I wouldn't even go back to my dorm until the buildings on campus were closing because I just couldn't stand who I was living with. Um, I was in a friend group that was not really my friend group. They were all, turning against me, talking bad about me. I had to work with them, but I also lived with them.
Ooh.
It was just, for lack of better terms, I was walking through hell and didn't even realize it.
Ooh.
So I went to the counseling center for the first time.
Wow.
I knew the director of the counseling center, and she told me, to come if I ever need anything. Um, but after talking to my parents for a bit, telling them the things that was going on, they were like, just go check in with her and see what's going to happen. And so I was telling her all that was going on, and she literally had to stop me in my talking and crying to say, hey, you need to get out of this living situation because all the things that you're telling me are super unhealthy. There's no reason why you shouldn't want to be in your own room or space, that you're staying out on other places on campus just so you don't have to go back to your room. There's no reason why you shouldn't be eating or not sleeping. Like this is serious. Like your situation is impacting your mental health and I want to help you. And so that same week, like 48 hours later, she helped me move to another residence hall and everything. And I honestly feel like if I never went to the counseling center to actually talk about what was going on and have someone licensed tell me that, hey, like this is really not okay, I don't think I would be in the situation I'm in right now. And I and one thing I've learned is that, if you're really going through something and you're seeing the signs, don't ignore it. Don't try to like act like you're too good for therapy or be like I can handle this all on my own. Just by talking to somebody, a therapist, or like every campus has it, like a counseling center, you can get the help that you need, especially if there's something serious going on. So I think college has taught me to like check in with myself. If I find myself not sleeping well or not eating, patterns like that, it's the things that you have to stay on top of.
And you have to know, and you have to surround yourself. And well, you were in that situation. In that situation, you weren't surrounded with yourself with people who notice those type of patterns. You took it upon yourself to go get the help that you needed. I will say, try to, if try to surround yourself, with people who know your habits, know how your personality is, and if something is wrong, they are those people that can go advocate for you. Because some people, and myself included, I went through something like not something similar to you, but in a sense where I didn't take it. I've been in therapy for. I'm an advocate for therapy too. I've been in therapy for 3 years
Mhm.
now. And I think all black people should go to therapy. 'Cause we go through the most stuff, and we're taught culturally to, I think that's changing now, but we're taught culturally to, take it on the chin, keep going, all that stuff, especially black men. I feel that, therapy is very needed amongst the black community. But I'm saying when I back to what I was saying about surround yourself with people who know your pattern, know your personality, because especially it doesn't have to be friends. It could be like professors. When I'm talking about like being in college, right? Because those people can they see, oh, they'll check up on you if they see like you're not doing well, they'll check up on you. If they um see that you're not well, they'll call proper protocol procedures or check-ins to see if you need to be checked in. Because sometimes people are scared to go get the help that they need, or don't trust people to go enough to go get the help that they need. Go ahead. You were about to say something, Lauren.
Yeah, and like you said, people don't trust it or kind of feel like they're going to be shamed for getting the help that they need.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned like surrounding yourself with people, I have a good friend. His name is Ahmad. And I can remember during that time, that whole time period before I actually went to the counseling center, he was kind of checking in on me because I guess he saw that my attitude had changed towards people, the way I was talking to people or how I was showing up at ABJ meetings and things like that. Like seeing how one day I kind of almost snapped on a person out of nowhere, and he kind of checked in with me and he was like, what's going on? Like lately, you've been not your normal self, things of that nature. And I really admire people who, like you said, can check in with you and notice when something's wrong. And
Mhm.
just looking back at all of that, he could already see that my mental was in a different place than where it normally was. And I just, like you said, I'm now just such a bigger advocate for therapy, counseling, mental health resources, and just taking the time that you need.
Absolutely. What's the difference between normal college stress and something more serious that needs attention when it comes to mental health, Lauren, do you think?
Well, normal college stressors, of course, is always going to be money. That's probably like the first thing. It's always going to be money. How am I paying my tuition? If it's not that, how am I buying my clothes or my books or,
Food.
yeah, food, exactly. Those are normal stressors. I think I, for me, for me, I
Hmm.
don't, I think when relationships fail or going through heavy breakups, that's not necessarily a normal stressor. Especially if you've done a lot with this person or been with this person for a while, or how we get caught up. Like I was kind of like, this is my ACC love story. Like for me, it really took a lot of out of me. It's one thing to be upset and anxious because, oh my gosh, I need some money to buy some groceries, or I need this, or I need that. But it's a different type of stressor on your mental health when you get broken up with in the middle of the week. I have a test on Friday. I have a morning class. I still got my show to do. I still have all these events, and I'm hurting. Like I'm having to get up out of my bed every day, and I'm still having to keep going, even though I'm hurting.
Yeah.
And I think one of the bigger differences is that like some college stressors can be fixed in a few hours or a few moments. But if you're dealing with something that's heavier that you kind of have to navigate days or weeks or months, that's a little different. Shema, my internship situation where I didn't have transportation or didn't know what to do. To me, that was a heavy stressor because I'm running out of time. And for weeks on end, I'm asking every department on my campus, like, is there a resource? Can you help me? Can you can you do something? And nobody wanted to really do anything. So I had to seek outside sources. So the problem is solved now. But I think the difference is just kind of some things are heavier and some things are lighter. This past semester, I had to deal with the death of my grandfather. Um, and that was a lot because, my family at home is asking me, can you help plan this? Can you help with that? But I'm still having to do my classwork, things like that. That's not something that every student is necessarily facing, has to go
Yeah.
through. Um, when my friend got shot, during the Labor Day Classic here in North State, that whole weekend, and he passed away. That was a lot to navigate compared to just a normal fist fight because somebody actually died. So I think almost unexpected life events are a lot different than just saying, "Hey, I don't have money to pay for this," or "I'm not getting along with my roommate," or just things of that nature, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I would say, and I'm sorry for your loss when with your grandfather and then with your friend as well. Um I would say in college I haven't lost in high school I lost my great grandmother when I was a freshman in high school. Yeah, my freshman year. And that kind of changed my purpose of, that actually did throw me off um in high school a bit, but I still had to go back to school, still had like we always say, life still goes on no matter what people go through or what's happening. The world doesn't stop. Time doesn't stop. So there's things that, you know, people are understanding, you know, um, but I will say the difference between, when it comes to college, I will say having that person or that someone who you can talk to, or having that person, that therapist that, can give you tools or give you methods to deal with these things. Because
Mhm.
people are allowed to grieve, or to, and grieving doesn't mean just death.
Yeah.
Grieving means, losing something, or, you know not getting what you wanted or opportunity. Grieving is not just about death, and my therapist taught me that. So I remember, actually, this is the first time I'll talk about this. So I used to work for my sports information department at my school at Fayetteville State, and I remember, uh, I literally, I think it was a day after my birthday. Yeah, it was a day after my birthday. And like a week after, I got a scholarship from the Charlotte Hornets, and I was on all the local stations, and I was in the front of the newspaper and all that jazz. School posted it, all that jazz. And I got a call, or I got a text from the person who's over, content creation, all that stuff, and they told me that, you're not a good fit. You are, and like I was just like in a state of shock, and it was just like, it was kind of, in my opinion, it was like kind of slap in the face in a way, because I looked up to that person. I was consistent with, with the work. I told that person what my goals were, even before school started, before football season started, before sports season even started. I orientation. I went to that person. I went to that. to told them to tell them what what I was looking for, what my goals were, and they put me in the position. And they were like, and after, and that's one thing about this business. If you mess up one time, you know, you're out. But it was in a form when you're in college, you want to learn. You understand? So like it's kind of hard when you are in a position where you're learning, but you're in the expectation of you still need to perform. You still need to be perform like a professional. So it was like what they made it seem like, you're not a good fit. You make mistakes. You're not ready. All this stuff. When these expectations are, I'm still learning all this stuff, and it's just like it was a slap in the face, and that ruin, that can deter somebody's mental health because when someone really like that you look up to, or when you like, you admire, they thought someone who was there for you, who you thought, had your best interest at heart, gives up on you, it seems like you're the problem. Like, what did I do to for them to make, you know, them do that to me? When I've been consistent, I've been doing my part, showing up. I even showed up. You talk about I showed up when it was breaks and they had game over break. I was like one of like me and my another person I was used to be friends with showed up during break. I brought my sister with me and we did the games together. So it was like kind of like a slap in the face where, you know, not everybody that thinks is on your side is on your side. That's really hard to deal with. And I think one thing that, it kind of shows you, life shows you that, you could do all these great things. You can, put your you can shout people out, you can, show off all your great work, and they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. That it's never enough. How about that? It's never enough. It's not enough. So it was like, wow, that really showed me that maybe it's just, I don't know. It was really hard. I think that's really hard. That's something I really had to deal with um recently. That's something I really had to deal with. From I'm glad that I'm always not, a person that put everything in one basket. I'm not involved into just one thing. So like being in sports wasn't just my um main thing. I had my own talk show and all that stuff. Um so I had that to fall back on, and I had um more time to work on that and produce that. But it was like that was really hard, because especially a person that you really thought that was a mentor just gives up on you. So that's a mental health that I really had to deal with in college so far. Yeah, go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. There will be situations to anyone who's listening that you will have a mentor or you will have a professor or somebody that you really think has your back and will kind of do something like that, and kind of almost slap you in the face. Um, there was an organization I was trying to join on campus, and I had everything, all the criteria, all the requirements, attended all the things I needed to do, went through interviews, all these different things. And I was faced with the rejection. And when the woman reached out to me to, I guess, talk about it, I was looking up to this woman, and she basically told me, these other people didn't see you as a good enough fit. And I asked her, well, what does that matter if I, had all the criteria? Did you advocate for me? You said you really wanted me to be a part of this. Did you do anything? And she kind of just acted as if, I can't advocate for you. I can't do this. I can't do that. And I've noticed ever since that rejection, she kind of treats me as if, I'm nothing. But
Thank
before,
you. Oh, that's the same way. Exactly. they treat me like I'm like what is it called? Like I'm just like nobody at this point. Like I remember my my school, the women's basketball team, won the CIAA tournament, right? And they had a big celebration in the cafeteria for they win. And I was trying to get a comment for my talk show, right? From from one of the players, right? Who's a player that I actually worked with when I was in, you know, sports information, who's also in a comm student. So I had a great rapport with that person. And this person was like the the people who I used to work for, they were like, "Oh my god, wait, what's your question? What are you about to ask?" And like this act like I'm about to be that type of messy person, or like it's just like now this is weird. And
Mhm.
they just stood over my shoulder, all that stuff. It was just like, what's is this really necessary? And it's like, and when I walk past them, it's just like it's just weird. It's just weird. It's just like I didn't do nothing, and then it's just weird. And they start paying favors towards the other people, and like it's just and people who don't even put the work in. It's just it really don't make sense to me. So that's what I was saying. Like I know what you feel. I know how you feel.
It feels really good to be seen because I mean, it's kind of like a night and day, and it hurts even more when it's somebody that you're close with or even immense. You look up to them in a sense. And to see how this woman treats me now as if I'm nobody, yet at first she wanted to be close and wanted me in her organization, and now, just because I didn't get in or whatnot, oh, it's I could care less about her. That's what kind of hurts. Um I think
And I
it's
see that in a lot in higher education.
mm-hmm.
I think that, and this is and you this you probably won't believe it, but that's not the first incident where I had someone that I thought, who was on my side, who I could look up to, turn on me or treat me some type of way. I used to do radio. I wanted to be this big radio personality coming into college, and when I was at North Carolina Central, I was doing radio. I had the number one show. I was doing this, and Rock Nation came. I had a big background. I was doing really good stuff, and I'm not doing that to flaunt. I'm just giving people background. I just want to, because people think, when people do that, they're
Yeah.
cocky or something. I'm just people giving background and perspective. So when I came, before I even transferred to where I'm at now, I called up the person who's over the radio you know department, station, whatever, um and to tell them that I'm thinking about transferring, all that stuff. I sent them over my work, and I from what I was told, it was good for me. I think it was a award winning material. Before, it wasn't the best. I'm gonna admit that it wasn't. Everything, I was still learning all that stuff, but I was still doing stuff. I was doing everything by myself. So I feel like I was doing, video and live radio at the same time by myself. So I think some people don't believe like you got to get somebody grace. So, you know, fast forward, I transferred. No, fast forward. I got a tour. Went to the studio, got a tour, went on the person who's over the station has a show on the station, which is kind of weird to me because it's supposed to be a student station, but we digress. So has a show. Mind you, I live probably an hour 45 minutes away from where my new school is now, where I'm at now, compared to where North Carolina Central is. So me and my mom drove an hour 45 minutes. I call my mom my momager. She's like my Kylie, like Chris Jenner, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I call her my momager. So I like if when it comes to business stuff, I always all ask her for stuff like before I can sign the contract, all that stuff. So she, we went down there, set up. The person really like I could really see you doing great things here. I'm gonna take care of you with my mom right
Mm-hmm.
here, right. I went on air, all that stuff. The show was great. We were there for about an hour, hour and a half, and then we had to get out of there because we had other obligations too. And and it was like that was the summer, right? It was the actually probably like 3 days after I did my last show at Central. 3 days after. Exactly. Like did my last show, did my last goodbye, kiss everybody, get well not kiss, but
Yeah.
get everybody, yeah, like say all my goodbyes, all that stuff, finished my finals, and then I was like, well, perfect way to do my announcement, because I said I was transferring, but people don't know where I was transferring to.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I called into the Breakfast Club that morning because they have a segment on the Breakfast Club. It's my favorite radio show, and said that I'd announced that I just finished my sophomore year of college, and I'm about to transfer, and I'm transferring to Fayetteville State University. Right next day, I'm at Fayetteville State University, Rock Radio, on such and such show, right, and all that stuff. And I was there. I said I've been there, and it great, great, right? Went there and did everything that needed to do, and I went on air, right? And when I tell you that the treatment towards like when I get to a place where it was like me and three other people, maybe two, who were consistent, who were students,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who were going, and I was probably the only one that was really consistent, like showing up, doing background stuff, and wanting to learn about, X, Y, and Z about the show because it's still a different station, it's the different culture, different all that stuff that I had to learn. And when the amount of attacks and like trying to come for people, it was just like from that person in and the person is like you can't control the poor. How that's what yes, you can't control my poor. So it was just like, and he was like, well, you think this is bad, you wait until you get into the business. And I was like, well, that was week two, probably week three. I got to get warmed up to him. I took this for a whole semester. Attacks coming for me in front of other people, in front of other colleagues at the station, and saying, "Oh, don't talk to me. Talk to your program director who was over there." And that's another story for another day. But you know, and then it's just like, and I was like, "Well, I had it. I work too hard. I do too much stuff for to be disrespected." To not be appreciated. And my mom taught me this. Don't, I think someone said this at an NBJ short course too. Don't go be in somewhere where you are tolerated and not appreciated.
Yeah.
I refuse to do that. I'm sorry. If you don't appreciate, I'm not saying kiss my behind. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying that. But respect flows fluently.
Yeah.
You cannot disrespect someone, and just because you are a certain age, expect them to respect you because you're a certain age.
And I think we should talk about that because I feel like, at least for college students, and I've experienced kind of the same things where people who are over you, whether that's at a job, internship, or professors in general, like I had a professor call me a failure. I've had a professor the same, yes, the same professor.
Oh, and this person said that I would never be better than them. I would never be as good as them.
Exactly.
And said it in front of somebody who heard it, and that person literally walked away and said, like, "Oh, if it was me, I would not take that."
That's the thing. I have a professor who's like that, who talks down to students in class. And I think the whole memo is that college,
Hazing, hazing.
yeah, hazing almost. That college students should just take it. Well, you're young, you're a college student.
Yeah.
You should just take it, take it, and not understanding that being constantly talked down to, constantly disrespected.
In front of your peers. It's
Yeah,
not just like it's just being you in front
yeah,
of you. Like it's humiliating. It's like this is,
yeah,
and you talk about this. You go watch when you get into the real world. That's if you go that in corporate America, my opinion. No, not my opinion. Factually, that is considered harassment.
exactly.
That's an HR. If someone and if I'm saying stop and tell you how I feel and you still do it, that's harassment.
And it's kind of like, I don't know what it is. If we're it's because we're in college, people think they can treat us however,
Mm-hmm.
not understanding that harassment 24/7 does impact your mental health. And it
Exactly.
impacts how you show up. It impacts how you do your job or your task or your duty. And like you said, Shimei, in the real world, that people can talk to you however, but I don't have to take it. And like you said, I can take you to HR, and at some point even take you to court for harassment.
Oh, this person threatened to sue. We had a mediation, right, with the new dean, and I love her to death. God bless her. She wanted to resolve the situation and all that stuff, right? And he was like, well, I heard you've been, slandering my name. I talked to my attorney, and I'm not that type of person to slander anybody's name. I would just tell them people because people was asking, why did you leave the radio? Because I made a statement that I was leaving, I'm done, all that stuff. I didn't say why, because that's not nobody's business. Now people know why. But but at the time, people behind the scenes who worked with me knew why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, well, I told them, me personally, this is what with me. I'm not telling people what to do with their lives, what to do. When people ask me, should I do radio? I want to join the radio station. Who do I talk to? Like, how is it like? I'm gonna tell them, how is it like? And I'm not gonna lie to them. You want me to say, oh, it's all good, all that stuff. No, I'm not. I would want somebody to do the same thing for me. Give me a heads up. How's this? That's part of research before you get you don't go in stuff blindly, So you just go in and tell them what to expect. And I told people what to expect, and some people he got some wind of it and said that I was slandering his name and threatened to sue me. Yes, in front of the dean. Yes, in
And
front
I
of the dean.
I believe it. I wholeheartedly believe it. And
That's no case, and I probably you probably would know, and your dad probably can attest. That's no case right there. That's not a case. So I was like, I was laughing. I was laughing in my head, not to him.
yeah,
Like when he said, "Oh, I can sue you," I talked to my attorney, all that stuff. I can sue you, and it's just like the gaslighting and the type of like, "Oh well, he can." When I was like, when the dean asked, "Oh, can he come back?" He was like, "Well, I don't have that power to I don't have that power over people, if they're allowing they want to come back or not, you
yeah,
know." And then he said, well, if he comes back, he cannot be on air. How you don't have power if how you gonna say you don't have power, then I can't be on air when I have more experience than everybody else in the station
yeah,
when it comes to being a broadcaster, being a radio. But we digress. That's when you remove yourself from situations to save yourself some stress.
yeah. Remove yourself.
Yeah,
It's okay to say no. It's okay to walk away. Um, it's okay to do that. It doesn't make you a quitter. It
no,
doesn't
it
make
don't.
it doesn't
Mm-mm.
make you a
Far
quitter.
from it.
Yeah. And I think
Far from it.
it's something I've had to learn as well, situations you had to step away from or people you had to remove yourself from, that doesn't make you a bad person or any less than. Because
Hmm.
people try to make it seem like, oh, he quit or she couldn't handle it. Um, Maybe that just wasn't the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of people, especially at HBCUs, all staff members, especially the older ones, definitely to seek they need to seek Jesus, but honestly just seek help themselves because
No, they need to seek with the new generation. The business is not the same how it was when you joined.
yeah.
You
And
know, it's really not.
just because you didn't get as far as you wanted in your career or didn't achieve,
Or they be like, oh, well, I could have, but
yeah,
God told me I had to go here. They're like, really, it gets to a point.
yeah, like don't take out your bitterness and jealousy on your,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
And someone told me, I feel like because remember, this was when everything was happening. I was doing all great things. This actually happened after the scholarship, actually. So
Mhm.
I got the scholarship from the Hornets January. I quit. I resigned. Or before the fall, before spring, summer, not summer break, Christmas, before we left for the winter, right? And all that. He was like, well, and the thing about that is how bitter that person was. He was like, well, I, you asked me for a recommendation, and if I would have gave you one, they would have gave it to you for the scholarship. Like, that's jealousy, in my opinion.
This.
Bitterness, you know, because if you, it's just I don't understand. And someone told me don't outshine the master. That's the saying. You should never outshine the master. So when that happened, I was like, deuces, I had to get out of here. It's toxic. And I was like, this is a toxic work environment. He was like, no, he's toxic. He can't listen. Hold on, I'm gonna cut this out, but if there's a recording, and I will make sure you hear the recording. We'll cut this out, but yeah, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. But we digress.
Yeah.
Again, let me make sure I pause that so I know. Okay. Uh, but let's go to our favorite segment called Talk Your Talk. Let's go. Today's question is, what is one small step a student listening could take today to prioritize their mental health?
Right. Well, a few came to mind. The first one, delete Fizz. Don't download it. If you don't have it, don't download it. You don't need it. Fizz is terrible for mental health. It's just people, dragging people all day. It's kind of like the Shade Room. Once I stopped following the Shade Room and
Listen, I don't like that you do that because those are black journalists and we are stopping those are journalists. You need to stop. Those are actual, even though they're messy, they're still reporters, they're still journalists. Now you can pick and diver, they still have some great things that
or
they're doing.
just mute them. I don't know. Limit your screen time. If you don't like somebody, you don't need to follow them. That also is a great way to prioritize your mental health. You know, once you stop like consuming things that you personally don't like, your mood will change. I think another way to prioritize your mental health, at least for me, what's has helped is if you have an iPhone, you can now customize different do not disturb. Um, what do you call it? Um,
Notifications?
yeah, notifications, but no, like I can't like different focuses. Yes, like different focuses like that. So, sure.
I didn't see that.
um,
We're gonna have to blur that out or cut that out because I didn't see that.
That's not supposed to be there still. I'm
It's still there though, but we digress.
healing. I mean, like
That's the clip. That's the clip. I'm sorry.
healing. I am healing. Okay, I really am. I really am healing, and I just haven't gotten to that step. Because I did have a special focus for that person. But as we digress, anyways,
Hold on. Can we delete that right now so we can heal faster? Come on, get your phone. Delete it. Come on, let's do it. That's the A'Lauren. Come on. Let's go. Press down. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And go up. Uh-huh. Delete. Yep. See that?
okay,
No.
that's why I can't do it.
Over.
I can't do it. Okay,
Over.
okay.
No, no. Yeah, there's three. Wow. Up, up, up. Nope, nope. Yep, yep. There we go. Up. Red. Press up. Press that red. That's the red. Yep. There we go. Come on. Come on.
I can't.
You can. You just refusing. Here we go. One, two. Come on. Do it again. Uh-huh. There we go. Let's do it two more times. Come on.
Once
Oh my God.
I did it once. I'm still working on this. But yeah, like
Mercy. See,
different.
a lot of editing to do.
Yeah. Different focuses. Like you can for me, I have a 9 to 5 focus, which is called work. Where
Mhm.
only professionals, like media professionals or people I have to hear from can contact me. The rest, it's kind of like D&D type of thing.
Oh wow, you can do that?
Yes, you can customize
I'm not that important, so I'm not gonna do that. I don't think I need to do that.
um after a certain time, silence certain notifications, things like that. I think that's a great small step you can take to prioritize
Mhm.
mental health. And also just the smallest step of just saying no. If you're always busy, take one day of the week to say no, I'm not going to all these things. I'm taking the day for myself or half the day for myself or finding a day to sleep in. I don't know, just small little
And
things.
sleeping is crazy. I probably would say I would say scheduling some time for yourself
Yeah,
again.
like that's the best way to put it. Schedule some time to just do something you want to do. I remember in my last friend group, I think that was probably another reason why my mental health went down, is that the main person I was, hanging with her, it was we're always going here and going there. She always wanted to spend money, and it was never like a time where we're just like, can I just chill in my room by myself? Like, can I just have a moment to myself? Um, Sometimes you don't need to be at every function or in everybody's face or always spending time with a significant other or just friends. Sometimes you just need time for yourself. Um, it's great to be booked and busy, but that can wear on you if you're not getting any sleep or not to mention if you have academic stress on top of that. I'm going from here, there, everywhere, and I can't even go to sleep because, oh, I have all this homework to do.
Mm.
Like, I think time management and just taking a little bit of time for yourself.
I would say find something that you enjoy doing out loud to concur what you're saying. I found something I did was I love watching soap operas. It's so weird, but I love watching. And this is new soap opera. It's a all black cast majority. It's called Beyond the Gates. It's on CBS.
Well, I haven't seen it yet.
It's so good. It takes me back to like it's kind of weird because it kind of collides into my career, but it gives me like a set of mind. Like I don't want to act. I don't want. This is like a fantasy. Could be realistic for a moment, but it's definitely soap opera. But it just gives you like your brain and like your mind, like
Mm-hmm.
I can just watch, relax for a good 37 minutes every day. Cause I got Paramount Plus. I wait until it's no commercials. Paramount Plus, it comes out. Cause they originally airs at 2 o'clock weekdays on CBS. I'm promoting like I work for CBS or something, right? But hi Gail, but she doesn't watch.
Watch yet.
Yes, not yet. But like I said, so I just like find like a show or something that you look forward to. I know one of my friends love coloring. Like they have these adult coloring books. My therapist recommended for me to do that. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. But like, I love watching stand-up comedy too. Oh my gosh. I love watching stand-up comedy. Dave Chappelle. What's that guy? Fluffy Gabriel Iglesias. Um, like Netflix comedy. Like I just like watching stand-up or something like that. Like so this stuff that brings you joy.
Yeah.
Find stuff like that brings you joy or takes you out of the moment for at least an hour and a half. I know my school, I just found this out. We had this room in the we would say the not career services. What's it called? Oh my gosh. Huh? Health center.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had this room where students from, of course, from 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, whatever, business hours. Well, but students during the day can go in there. You have to lock up your phone and be in there. There's sand things in there. There's massage chairs. You can turn off the lights. It's just like a relax. It's called the relax center, right? But you have to give up your phone in order to get in there. I
That's
was like, I never heard of it until probably before the semester, and I was like, okay, I need to get in there. I need to get in there because that's really thoughtful.
yeah, because we
Yeah.
have that, but you don't have to turn in your
Oh
phone.
yeah, that's the thing. It says it on the door.
Like I love that.
Yeah, you have to turn in your phone.
I think a good like that is another just one small step to take is just putting your phone down. I used to journal a lot, especially like during my middle school, high school years, a lot because I had more time. Now I don't as much
Yeah.
because I'm so busy. But for my birthday this year, I did buy a new journal and I don't write in it every day, but
Okay.
I've learned that taking like just 5 minutes to fill out like 2 pages, you know,
Mhm.
taking 5 to 10 minutes. Like you said, it's just a refresher.
Yeah.
It's something that you're not on your phone, you're not dealing with other people. It's something totally like just away from all the noise. Because I just sometimes on a college campus, you can feel stuck,
Yep.
especially if you don't have a car and you can't get off campus, or you don't have the money to be going to places off campus. Like just finding ways to unplug. If you have a stadium on campus or places where you can
Well,
exercise.
we lock ours up, but if you're most campuses lock theirs up because they're, well, especially HBCUs, because they're in urban communities.
Yeah.
So but a lot of places, a lot of campuses have gyms.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't recommend just getting some fresh air. If you're a female, don't walk by yourself.
Or at night.
Or at night, yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, like just do stuff to. I don't want to act like we're mental health professionals, but like this stuff, like just do stuff that don't cause you stress.
Yes.
Like I recommend coloring. Um, I don't journal, but like I do have a journal near my bed because I feel like before I go to sleep or when I wake up, I have great ideas when it comes to like for shows or stories or like content stuff. I have great ideas. I don't know why, but this is like some of my stuff before I go to bed. I have to write it down. So I do keep a notebook on my. I don't journal, but I think when I turn, or actually my 20, the day of my day of my birthday, when I turned 21, I did journal once, but I feel like that's like I just want to see how where I was
Mm-hmm.
at that time of my life and see like where I'm going when I look back at it. So I feel like write a letter to yourself or write a letter to, um write a letter to your future self or something like that. I don't know. I think definitely go to the movies, go to the park, or even go to the caf. Some people don't go to the cafeteria. Some people just go to like the dining options on campus and just go back
Mm-hmm.
to their room. So like this like go to the caf, socialize with people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Well, that does it for us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 6. But did you hear that with Shimei and A'Lauren? Make sure you contact us at cookentertainment3@gmail.com if you have any questions. And make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on social and all that jazz. And we'll see you guys next time. And make sure you download on Spotify, all that stuff. So far, we have over 100 downloads. Well, 6 episodes in.
yeah,
But
and please comment on the reels. Let us know what you're thinking. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Like,
yeah.
we want to know.
Yeah, please. We know, we're brand new, so we're still new, 6 weeks in, so it takes some time to get stuff settled in. But yeah, thank you guys to people who have been watching. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye.